When unlit subsea infrastructure is silently harvested or compromised, the defense community remains completely blind until an active crisis hits. Deep sea monitoring faces a critical vulnerability. Dark fiber arrays laid for future network expansion carry no active signal, meaning they can be physically cut or stolen without triggering any automated system alerts.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you for joining me for another true crime video. I am excited to talk to you about this topic today because in some loose way I've been tracking these cases and putting these pieces together without even knowing I was putting pieces together. And I've been doing this since late December of 2025. But before we dive into that world, let's have a word from the sponsor of today's video. This video is sponsored by June's Journey.
Detecting the physical extraction of unlit subsea assets is a massive maritime blind spot. Hostile actors exploit this lack of active telemetry to strip critical lines without leaving a single digital footprint. To exploit these dormant lines, specialized hostile vessels must map the ocean floor with high-precision acoustics to identify exact coordinates.
In the UK, is that right?
Yes, hi Matt. We're in the Lincolnshire Wolds, which is a picturesque part of a very rural county. Lincolnshire's full of agriculture and, wild spaces, and we're in one of the wild spaces.
And I take it it's, probably cold and rainy there, right?
It's boiling hot at the moment.
Military submersibles use specialized sonars to track structural anomalies on the seabed. Once located, they can deploy remote-operated vehicles to execute silent, physical interventions. Laying infrastructure across jagged ocean wrenches subjects the cables to extreme mechanical tension, a vulnerability that clever saboteurs weaponize.
Redefine my identity outside of what I did for a living. I thought about what first ignited my passion for public health. I wanted to understand how cultural and social factors shape the health of Black women. Growing up in South Central LA, I'd experienced firsthand how preventable medical conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes were ravaging the lives not only of Black women in my community, but in my own family.
When an unlit cable is violently pulled or harvested, the physical strain can easily snap adjacent, active telecommunication lines. This triggers a cascading network failure across entire geographic regions. The diagnostic gap for unlit arrays is staggeringly wide, meaning missing fiber might go unnoticed for years until an operator attempts to activate it.
Is that part of the fascination?
Yeah, I think why people were initially so fascinated is that Madeleine vanished in a scenario that's familiar to millions of us. She was in a holiday apartment in southern Europe, the sort of holiday that many of us take regularly. And it's in a situation where we rather take our eyes off our children.
Discovering that miles of underwater glass have completely vanished is an intelligence nightmare. Analysts are forced to rely on retrospective satellite data on dives tracking to reconstruct the crime timeline. State actors rarely use obvious military assets to harvest cables instead. They operate behind the plausible deniability of civilian maritime covers.
Malls. The legend goes something like this. A young couple were in a shopping plaza in this massive mall, and the place it's bustling with people. It's the weekend. There's a lot of people in and out. I mean, there's just activity everywhere. It's supposed to feel safe. I mean, you feel safe when there's so many witnesses, when there's so many people, yeah? I mean, most of the time, right? Now, the couple, they walk into this women's clothing store.
Commercial trawlers and salvage ships can linger over sensitive seabed sectors under the guise of legal industry. While pretending to fish, they drag heavy gear to hook and retrieve unlit fiber lines. Hunting for missing dark fiber means filtering through mountains of maritime telemetry to look for anomalies.
Info out there and
rumors, gossip,
rumors, speculation. Yeah. So it was a really difficult one to sort through. Big shout out to our researcher, Julia, for digging through all of that.
Huge shout out.
Yes.
It's one we've been working on for a long time. Actually,
Yeah.
It's been on our schedule for months, and just we haven't had the time to fully vet it out and research it the way that we wanted to. So we've been slowly chipping away at it over time.
Analysts flag subtle patterns like unexplained vessel loitering directly over dormant cable paths, differentiating legitimate shipping from covert subsea espionage requires grueling, long-term pattern analysis. Neglecting unlit infrastructure invites massive risk, as these silent targets are ideal testing grounds for hybrid warfare operators.
They took turns using the only bucket to bathe. Bella's money was almost gone. The money the village gave her. The money her mother sold her wrapper to add. The money her sick father gave from his savings jar. Almost finished. She had enough for maybe 2 more weeks. Then she would have to go back home.
When these dormant lines are stripped, regional redundancy routes are destroyed. If an open conflict erupts later, target territories find themselves instantly isolated from global networks. While the dark fiber cable itself is completely silent, the heavy equipment required to lift it from the seafloor leaves a distinct physical trace.
The rate at which people are searching for jobs these days will continue to increase because there are higher demand for job over the present number of organizations in the world. Did you dream of attending job interview? If yes, this dream might be a testing ground for your ability to handle a bigger opportunity await you in the future. If you dream of attending a job interview, it may indicate that someone will test you in some areas of your life.
Passive acoustic tracking monitors the underwater soundscape for machinery disturbances. A sudden spike in localized low-frequency noise is a telltale sign that someone is interacting with the seabed. Vessels deployed to harvest subsea cables frequently cut their automatic identification systems to evade radar detection.
Projected TV series on the horizon, but he's just achieved superstardom as a film actor here in Hong Kong. So what does he choose, the East or the West? It's the kind of problem most budding movie actors would welcome.
It's the Pierre Burton Show, the program that comes to you from the major capitals of the world. This edition comes to you from Hong Kong.
Disabling transponders is a glaring red flag for maritime intelligence units. When a ship goes dark near a critical unlit corridor, it triggers an immediate physical surveillance protocol. Saboteurs don't always steal the glass. Sometimes they splice directly into unlit lines to install sleeper intercept devices.
Asking children and teens about potential traumas they may have experienced can be challenging, particularly for clinicians who don't have a focus in mental health. But we know that these adverse childhood experiences are prevalent and significantly impact lifelong health. So it's essential that all pediatric healthcare providers feel comfortable and competent to do a routine screen for these adverse childhood experiences.
This represents a highly dangerous, sophisticated tapping method. Conventional optical monitoring cannot detect the hardware intrusion until the fiber is lit and sensitive data begins to leak. Unlit cables are the strategic reserves of global telecommunications, designed to act as emergency links if primary active lines are severed.
To call her mom to ask her if she could come to my house, and her mom said no, she went her other way and I went the other way. He asked me if I seen his daughter, and I said yes, and he was like, can you help me find her? I was like, yes, and then he didn't turn around.
Adversaries target these dark backups precisely to deny communication alternatives. By removing them ahead of time, they ensure total informational dominance when a crisis begins. Intelligence briefings on subsea incursions rely heavily on physical forensic evidence gathered directly from deep water surveys.
You're waiting to have your asylum interview or your court hearing, then you need to see this video because I'm going to share with you 8 questions that I guarantee you're going to be asked as part of your asylum case. I'm a former government asylum officer, and I did thousands of immigration interviews in my 11 years working for the government's 2 main agencies.
Mapping dredge marks and anchor scars reveals the mechanical capabilities of the adversary. This precise data allows analysts to calculate which unlit networks will be targeted next. Not all missing fiber is the work of military spies. Black market salvage syndicates routinely target unlit cables for valuable raw materials.
I worked in HR for 10 years, was a top performing recruiter, and now I'm an international career coach. And these, my friends, are the interview secrets that get you hired every single time. I'm going to talk about everything in order, starting from preparing to the interview, going all the way to after the interview. If you know my style, you know I like to jump right on in.
These illicit operators strip the heavy copper cladding and steel sheathing for pure profit. Whether driven by greed or espionage, the result is identical. A critical piece of global backup infrastructure is permanently erased. Forensic oceanography plays a central role in tracking missing cables by comparing historical bathymetric charts with real-time sonar surveys.
You have a job interview coming up soon. For any role or organisation, you will have to answer them. So make sure you stay tuned, watch the presentation from start to finish, because I promise to help you be the standout candidate. And to achieve that goal, this is what I'm going to cover. So I will give you a list of tough behavioural interview questions I strongly recommend you prepare for.
This technical cross-referencing exposes exact locations where the ocean floor has been violently disturbed. Even in the deepest water, the physical scar left by a cable extraction remains highly visible. Advanced military-grade submersibles equipped with industrial robotic arms and cutting shears operate far below depths accessible by commercial divers.
West for his appearances in Batman, The Green Hornet, Ironside, and Longstreet. His name is Bruce Lee, and he doesn't even speak Mandarin. And here's Pierre.
Well, how can you play in Mandarin movies if you don't even speak Mandarin? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I speak only Cantonese.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is quite a difference as far as pronunciation and things like that go.
These specialized deep-sea units sever and store vast lengths of cable in total darkness. Their presence around unlit field signals an active state-sponsored infrastructure operation. Hauling miles of heavy, armored cable to the surface requires immense mechanical force and high-capacity hydraulic winches.
My view on Erin Caffey is she's a murderer, pure and simple.
I've never come across anyone as dangerous as Erin, and I hope that I never do.
To pull this off without getting caught by passing patrols, operators must work incredibly fast. Analysts track anomalous vessel behaviors, like sudden engine strain or strange drift patterns, to spot active harvesting. Isolated maritime corridors with weak security presence provide the perfect environment for dark fiber thieves to operate completely undisturbed.
Reunite a mother and a father with their child, but 10 days later, Marion and James travel to Torquay to meet Simon.
Hello. Long time.
In these remote sectors, hostile salvage crews can spend weeks systematically lifting valuable glass. Intelligence agencies are pushing for expanded satellite and acoustic coverage over these unmonitored pathways to deter physical theft. Once harvested, the high-grade marine copper invaluable signal repeaters enter a complex international black market recycling network.
For the first time ever, Nancy Glass is here inside the world of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Bill, when I sat down opposite Jeffrey Dahmer for this interview, I wondered what he would tell me, how hard it would be to get him to discuss his horrific crimes. What I found was that he was very forthcoming. He volunteered details that may be difficult to hear. I began by asking what he wanted from the men he picked up.
Illicit metal networks routinely process these specialized materials without asking questions about their origin. Intercepting the financial trails of these rare marine alloys helps analysts trace the illicit networks back to their masterminds. Mitigating the disappearance of dark fiber networks requires seamless, borderless cooperation between international maritime security forces.
Maybe. The only problem is I'd have to go to a different school.
What did you say?
Exactly. My mom told me this morning. She said that if she got this job, I'd have to move to a different area. Probably have to go to John Adams Middle School.
Bro.
Current intelligence gaps allow blacklisted salvage ships to flee one country's jurisdiction and resume illegal operations in another. A unified, global tracking system for deep-sea vessels is the only way to safeguard these assets. When a dark fiber asset is confirmed missing, specialized investigative teams assemble post-incident reports to decipher the strategic motives.
Interview, here's one thing not to do. When the interviewers are done with all of their questions, they will likely ask you if you have any.
These precise assessments reveal critical patterns in how adversaries approach dormant networks. Understanding these methods is vital for installing proactive defenses before more infrastructure vanishes. Military-grade submersibles pose the greatest threat to unlit infrastructure due to their ability to operate at extreme depths that defy civilian capabilities.
The tiny town of Antelope in the early 1980s. 40 years ago this fall, the community known as Rajneeshpuram collapsed amid attempted assassinations, poisonings, and criminal charges. But there's a story about the controversial spiritual movement you haven't heard. What happened to the commune children? Sarita Carroll was one of those children, and she has written a memoir about her experience at Rajneeshpuram.
These specialized state assets can linger silently on the deep seabed for extended periods. Keeping tabs on their global deployment schedules is critical for predicting upcoming infrastructure attacks. Masking these complex seabed operations requires deep pockets, usually channeled through elaborate networks of corporate front companies.
Do you decide to finance, which was at the time, or endow, or become the donor or sponsor, however you want to say it, for what was considered the most cutting-edge group of mathematicians in the world? Action.
So Santa Fe Institute in the late 80s, early 90s, I was interested, I was on the board of Rockefeller. So that starts, Rockefeller University, formed by John D.
These shadow entities allow hostile nations to buy specialized marine equipment under the guise of commercial research. Exposing their financial footprints gives intelligence agencies a chance to block hardware acquisitions before ships leave port. Because the majority of these cables rest in international waters, enforcement faces a confusing legal gray zone.
I'm coming, huh?
It has been. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So I want to start with Chad.
Okay.
You told me years ago.
Today is my birthday.
Today is your birthday.
How old do you think that I am?
52.
Oh, how did you know?
I do my research.
You must know a lot.
Yes.
The girls are like, are you turning 25 in my pod? And I was like, no, I'm turning 25 plus 25 plus 2.
There you go. So
Do the math.
You told me years ago Chad was the best man.
High seas jurisdiction limits make prosecuting cable theft incredibly complicated. Hostile operators leverage this legal ambiguity to run aggressive harvesting campaigns with zero fear of real penalties. Covertly manipulating subsea cable layouts is a core component of modern, asymmetric hybrid warfare strategy.
We're looking at instances where accused murderers chilled our bones with statements or body language during interviews. Did any of these moments freak you out? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. John Wayne Gacy. The Netflix documentary The John Wayne Gacy Tapes did a lot to point out the notorious serial killer's sociopathic tendencies when it came to shifting blame for his accused crimes.
Sabotaging dark fiber networks allows state actors to prepare the digital battlefield long before a conventional conflict erupts. It grants them maximum control over global information flows while maintaining total deniability. Far beneath the waves, geopolitical rivalries are intensifying as nations race to protect or compromise underwater data channels.
Nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Now, we've degraded a lot of it, but all of that is still there, and there's work to be done.
This hidden underwater pressure mirrors broader global power struggles. Securing unlit backup systems has evolved from a simple commercial task into an absolute priority for national defense. Forensic engineering teams recovered damaged cable fragments from the ocean floor to analyze tool marks left on the steel armor.
And this was in the late 90s. So they're not going to hear me on this part, right? We're going to do it both ways?
It will not be on the video, but we do have you recorded.
Fine. Remember, when you're answering on these questions, I'm not in the shot, and they're never going to hear my voice. So a little bit, you got to repeat in your answer, you got to repeat what my question was.
Oh,
a little bit.
Okay.
The exact physics of the cut reveal the sophistication of the attacker's tools. Sheared edges indicate state-of-the-art hydraulic cutters, whereas rough tears point to crude anchor hooks or rogue salvage gear. Assigning blame for subsea sabotage is notoriously difficult, as offending nations routinely blame commercial shipping accidents or natural seismic events.
I do think that this is going to come and bite him in the arse. But with that being said, the interview was an hour and something minutes. I'm not going to comment on all of that. I have edited portions of it to speak on the topics that I find interesting, and I haven't removed the context out of it or made him say things that he didn't actually say. And just for transparency purposes, I will link the entire video from News 24 in the description below, as well as the comment section below. And also, no copyright intended. This is just for me to react.
This political noise allows state actors to obscure their true motives. Piercing through the deception requires undeniable forensic and spatial data to prove state responsibility. To protect dark fiber assets from disappearing, network operators are turning to advanced mechanical reinforcement and acoustic armor.
Window when they are pulling up your DS-160 visa application and they're reviewing it from top to bottom and looking at the most important questions to them. And this includes generally, how long are you going to the United States for? What type of visa are you applying for? Do you have family already in the US? Have you been denied a visa before? And what do you think is the reason why you were denied?
Encasing unlit glass in heavy steel mesh or laying acoustic alarm lines alongside them is incredibly expensive but vital. These physical upgrades are the only way to guarantee emergency lines remain intact for future crises. Securing the future of global communication networks requires a radical shift toward continuous, proactive ocean floor surveillance.
3 things when you face tough situations in your life, right? These are very simple, but yet when you practice it, it is very hard to do that, but you can achieve it. Number 1, first of all, you need to realize what the situation is.
Intelligence teams must close the defensive gaps that allow unlit assets to silently vanish from the seabed. Intelligence teams must close the defensive gaps that allow unlit assets to silently vanish from the seabed.